Hey guys, it's Big Sexy with Big Sexy Outdoors. If you guys are looking for your bucks to be big and sexy like me, I recommend you go out and get yourself some Big Sexy by Domain. This product is filled with radish, turnips, and kale, and other vegetation to keep the deer coming back all season long. Go out to your local Tractor Supply and purchase some today. Big Sexy by Domain. Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, welcome.
So we have tonight, our special guest is author Andrew Zysek. Make sure, Andrew, if I said it wrong, say it again, but I'm sure I said it right.
It is Zysek, guys.
Zysek, there it is. Zysek, I did it again. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
Pleasure to have you.
So we have, Chris has 3 of your books he'll pull up here as we discuss them and talk about them. And, okay, Chris, we are now live on everything. I just seen it pop up.
It should be.
So, yeah. So we are super happy to have you. I watched some of your books pop up on Scoop Trappers, which is run by Brody and Matt Brophy. We had him on here, and he was a really cool guy to get on. And I'm excited. So I'm excited to hear about your books. What inspired you? Where they came from? Tell us a little bit about yourself. And
I was I've been introduced to trapping by my grandfather. My first book, The Man Who Taught Me, was actually more or less written right as soon as I had graduated high school. I had a writing assignment back in my senior year of high school that wrote about basically was to write about a life-changing experience. And I wrote about my trapping experiences with my grandfather, because I could have wrote about getting hit by a car and all that stuff that I had endured at age 11. But rather than write about something that's really ugly, I wrote about trapping. And trapping's always been a very big inspiration for me, and I really enjoy it. Actually, I would say I make at least most of my living comes from trapping. I would say that at least 2/3 of it does anyway. I'm very fortunate. I have been able to trap full time since I graduated high school, and that was back in 2015. And I've been able to trap all over. I've trapped up in St. Lawrence County. I've trapped of northern New York. I've trapped in the southern tier of New York. I've trapped in western New York in my home area. I have been in parts of Ohio that I've trapped. I've done some extensive fishing in Pennsylvania. I've done some extensive fishing up in the Adirondacks, as long as western New York, and even in the southern tier. And I really, really enjoy the outdoors. And my grandfather was a professional trapper, and he raised me. And I guess I'm just more or less following in his footsteps. The only difference is I'm a writer, where he was very, I would say he was very introverted. He was never wanted to make a pretense of himself, which really I don't either. But for some reason, writing plays a big role for me. And my other books, Competitive Raccoon Trapping Methods and Mink Trapping Fundamentals, followed The Man Who Taught Me, because I had a success with my very first article. And that was the very first writing assignment I had in my senior year in high school. And I got 100 on it in school. And I sent it into Trapper's World magazine, and the editor, Tara Roach, published it the following fall. And I've been doing this ever since. I've been in various magazines, Fur Fish Game, Trapper's World, Trapper's Post, American Trapper, The Fur Taker, The Buckeye Trapper, New York Outdoor News. I will be, I think, in the Backwoodsman or American Frontiersman. I've been in the Union Sun and Journal. I've done a lot of different articles, and I've done a lot of books, several interviews, various stuff like that.
Wow.
It
Cool.
sounds like you have a heck of a run for your money going on right now, and it sounds like you're writing about something you super love.
Yeah.
Well, I try.
Out of curiosity, does the writing kind of help you dissect what you do in sort of like in a method sense?
In a way, I would think so. I try to. I think as I write about this, as I write about trapping, in a lot of different ways, it gives me ideas on things to rehash of what the previous season has happened and all the stuff that goes on during a season. And I'm able to retake different techniques and either make them work or able to change different things. And even then, I'm able to relive a lot of my happiest moments. And usually my happiest moments are outside.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Wow.
Chris had a question. I don't want to interfere. I seen Chris pop up with his finger. Chris, where you at?
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
No. What was your question? I'm interested myself.
I got something to deal with. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So Andrew, one of the things I was really curious about, because I unfortunately I haven't had a chance to read that book, your first book yet, and I'm interested to kind of get into it, and I'm trying to kind of like currently exploring the American literary canon, trying to learn more about outdoor writing and trying to what I do myself. And a lot of what we try to do at Big Sexy Outdoors and at Browtine Innovations is encourage people to get involved. And I know that writing about my experiences is a great way to learn. It's a great way to kind of like you were saying, reflect on the season. And like, what's something that you've learned about yourself or learned about your experience in the outdoors through your writing?
Well, probably the biggest thing I learned was probably about how much it means to me. Unfortunately, in January, I lost my grandfather.
Oh,
And
sorry.
he was the main character besides me and the man who taught me. I would say I've been able to, in a lot of ways, I think I was able to put my even my relationship with him to a certain degree. I was able to figure that all out through my writing, because I was always close to him, and I didn't realize how much of a dad he was until I started writing about all this stuff.
Wow.
And as far as my trapping in that, I've been able to figure out different things that work for me and learn about them over again, so that way they don't get forgotten. It's very easy to catch an animal or make a set or figure out something while you're trapping, but then there's 365 days to get to the following season once the season ends. Not necessarily, maybe 365 days is wrong, but there's usually 200 days from, I would say, from the end of trapping season to the beginning of trapping season. And you can forget about a lot of things at that time.
Sure.
And when you're writing about them, you actually remember them. And when you remember them, you're able to use that same technique over and over and over again, especially if it's something new. And now, granted, there's nothing new under the sun in the outdoors. I don't believe there's anything new. A lot of people say, well, there's a new set, new hunting technique, new fishing technique. I don't think so. I think all of them are. We have a lot of ancestors in this great heritage of ours, and I think everything's been done, and and people try different things, and people talk about it, and that's the best thing to keep this great heritage alive.
Amen.
And it's very important we keep it alive.
I think it was one of my mentors once said to me, basically, everything you learn, you'll forget 2 or 3 times as much. And that's always stuck with me, just because, especially in the outdoors, I know from season to season, I forget so many things I've learned.
Yeah.
And I could see how essentially journaling, in a sense, is what you're doing, and gives you pause for reflection and an opportunity to cement new knowledge and new things, or new for you, as well as just things that perhaps you already knew, but just needed to sort of remember more concretely. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, and I do. I think one of the big things that keep me doing this is so I can help other people. I love helping people, and I'm able to meet different people. I'm able to help different people. I'm able to teach about something I really enjoy, and that's very inspiring, as a writer, in my opinion, on this. And
Cool.
each book, not everybody likes your material. You could be the best singer, rock star, writer, whatever you want to be, and someone's still going to hate you.
That's the truth.
And
Truth there.
and you just gotta, I would say you just gotta keep trying and keep working hard, and put one foot in front of the other and keep moving. And it's very important not to let negative comments get you down. And unfortunately with writing, there's a lot more negative comments than there is positive. But as long as you're happy at the end of the day with your finished product, they're selling, and you make money at it. But then again, money isn't exactly the importance either, because I'd be writing whether I was published or not.
Yeah,
For me, it's just something that I really enjoy to do.
that's cool. Yeah, your passion definitely comes across in what you're writing about and what you're thinking about, and even the way you express how, like this evening, as we talk, it's very apparent that you're passionate about it and that you are interested in learning more about even yourself. So that's really cool.
Yes, it's you can never learn too much.
Yeah.
It's constant improvement to a certain degree. In the beginning, I would always think, how would I get the next step forward? What would be the next article? What would be the next book? Is this my last article? Is this my last book? Well, now it's become more of not so much what's next. It's more or less, how do I make this better than the last one?
That's cool.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
Yes. And that goes to, I would say that it improves on each season that I'm trapping as well. I always like to try to be a little bit better than I was the year before. Does that always happen? No. Will it always happen? Probably not, because unfortunately, I've got hopefully a good number of years left, but I eventually everybody gets older, and
Sure.
usually between your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, you're in your prime. Then after that, you start fading a little bit. But even then, is it really about the numbers? Not really.
Yeah.
It's about enjoying yourself.
Absolutely. I know I was telling Ben and Chris one time about how there's actually this deadhead right button. This one, oh, wait, here we go. That one right there.
Yep.
It's sort of what gave me my name for my business. But that day, to get to it, I had to walk across this creek, and I had just my muck boots on, and it was maybe like 10 degrees out, and I just like went just charging through this creek, and I was head to toe. I fell in the water. I was totally waterlogged, and it was cold out, and I was a long way from the truck. I was a long way from home,
Yeah.
and but I went in and did it because I was like, I can handle this right now. And I was like, when I'm 75, I'm not going to be able to do this. So I'm just going to just dig in, enjoy the moment, knowing that it's going to be a little uncomfortable, but also just try to like recognize where I am in my sort of fuse of life, and knowing that I'm right at the beginning. I have a lot of life left, and I might as well enjoy this kind of thing now when my body can handle it. And I can mentally kind of push through the discomfort rather than waiting for another time when I may be more experienced or more comfortable. It's like I'm just going to go have that experience now so that I'll be more informed later in life. And I think that, like for me, writing is a lot about that. It's a lot about experiencing things today so that I can live a more informed life and sort of age gracefully as I do. It sounds like you're kind of on that same path. That's really cool.
Well, I think so. I do think that you live for the moment to a certain degree, and you can make as many plans as you want, but those plans can be canceled by someone upstairs. And everyone plans for retirement. Everyone says, "Well, when I'm retired, I'm going to run a lot of traps." Well, I was talking to an older trapper not too long ago who told me that he used to used to say, "Well, when I'm retired, I'm going to run a lot of traps." Well, now he's retired. Now he don't run so many traps.
Yeah.
He didn't realize that when he was retired, he was getting older too, and he missed out on a lot of trapping, and that bothered him. And of course, he told me about that. Unfortunately, everybody's got to make that choice. I didn't really want anything to stop me from doing what I wanted to do. And I think running long trap lines and living the outdoor experience and being an outdoor writer was what I wanted to do as soon as I graduated high school. And I just worked hard enough to make it happen. And I've been blessed. My grandfather kind of helped out in a way. He didn't help me with money, but he helped me with the knowledge to use it. Because really, that's what a lot of younger people lack is that role model to get them to hunt, to get them to trap, to get them to be in the outdoors.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree any more to that. Let me tell you, I completely agree to that. Chris, can we pull his first book up?
Yeah, bring it up again.
So,
Now,
Andrew,
before you do this, two things. One, we're just getting hit with a massive thunderstorm, so if I cut out, you know why. And two, I write books too, and somebody once told me to write a book about Ben, but I didn't want to write about ugly things either. So I'm like, I can't do it. I gotta stop.
that hurts. That hurts bad.
But no, I got this one up. I put links to the other books over in the chat part, so they'll be up for everybody to see. Sorry,
So
I'll shut up.
Cool.
No, you're good. So one thing I want to point out to everybody is, Chris, this is Amazon, correct?
Yep.
Chris, are you there?
Yes,
This is Amazon?
Yes.
Okay. So that way everybody knows where they can find the book that we're in discussion with.
Like I said, the links are all there. I put all the links in.
So I'd like to go back to the book. You're talking about your grandfather and you're talking about your passion and it started in high school. Tell us a little bit more about the book in general. I realize it gives us a description at the bottom, but I want to hear it from your words.
Well,
Tell us a little more about what people are getting when they buy this book.
Well, when you buy the book, you'll see a very nice cover. I do kind of like the design layout. I was very fond of that. So that's kind of what we went with. That's actually me on the left, and
so
that
cool.
is my grandfather George on the right. And I think that's my first coyote that I'm standing next to too.
How cool.
And I must have probably been 13 there. Maybe I was maybe 12, but I think I was 13 or 14. And well, when you get the book, it really starts out at a very young age. The introduction starts out as I'm a man, but the story actually starts out when I'm about 5 years old. When I was 5 years old, I was given a compass, jackknife, and a number 0 long spring trap. And in 15 minutes, I had my fingers caught in the trap. I had cut myself with my jackknife, and I had found out that whatever direction I was going, it pointed to either north, south, east, or west. And that's pretty much how it started. I was going with him on his trap lines because he trapped, and he trapped a lot. I mean, this is a man that caught 1,000 muskrats, 604 muskrats in 2 weeks, 80 fox in 3 weeks, 130 some possums 1 year, 100 coons. It goes on and on in one season. You know,
Wow.
he was a professional trapper, but he just never took the title. He was very modest. He was a gentleman. And he raised me. And that book really is about him raising me from basically day one to getting hit by the car and overcoming all of that. All of my first catches up until I was a teenager, I got a golden retriever. And I trained the dog through advice and instruction through him. And then the cabin that we built together in my senior year in high school. And that cabin I built and paid for with basically my trapping money at that time. And it's a very personal story. When I first wrote it, I loved it, but when I published it, it was kind of a mix feeling about it.
Sure.
Because I didn't realize how revealing that would be. And when I realized how revealing it would be, that bothered me for a little while, but I got over it pretty quickly. But it really is about me and him and being raised by him. I had a single mother, and I had my grandparents for basically as regular parents, I guess that'd be the way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the father figure that I lacked. And so when I looked at him, I saw Dad, and it took me years to figure that out. Because usually you're looking for your actual father when you have a figure like that that's so prominent in your life. You don't realize
Sure.
until you're older what they actually mean to you. And I guess in a way that book covers that as well.
Wow.
And it really covers learning the outdoors and covers a lot of the mistakes and a lot of the rewards from it as well that I had experienced. When I say mistakes, I mean different animals I didn't catch, different screw ups, stuff like that.
Wow.
We have a viewer that had a question for you, so I was waiting for him to pop it up here before we kept going. Sometimes it takes a second to come through, Andrew.
Okay.
Give it 1 second here. He must be typing it. So we'll come back to his question. I don't want to stop what you're doing. So it sounds to me, your book has. Oh, here's your question. So before we.
Well, I was 9 years old when I actually started trapping. That when I actually set a trap. That's covered in both that book along with my very first article called "How Does One Become an Outdoorsman," and that was published in Trapper's World. Now, I had probably really been trapping since I was about 3 years old. From my grandfather's words, I had been accompanying him in his pack basket when I was about 3 years old.
Wow.
I don't obviously remember that, but I do remember as a little boy being about 5 years old, and he'd have a fox or a coyote, and he'd have me stand behind him when he checked his traps and dispatched the animals and made the sets and all that good stuff. And so I've been around it and doing it for a very, very long time. I would say probably since very early in life.
Wow.
But 9 years old for my own actual trapping would be about 9 years old.
Wow.
So now this book was published. Tell me again when this book was first published.
This book was published in 2018.
Okay, so in 2018. Now, I don't want this to come off personal. For this, you just tell me, we'll stop. But your grandfather seen this book at this point. He's seen you wrote it. I'm sure you showed him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you told me when you wrote the book that you kind of had mixed reactions. I'm kind of curious. What'd your grandfather think?
Well, he didn't want to see me for a little while. Like I said, he was a real gentleman, and he didn't really want to see me for a couple months. And
really? So he was upset. He was upset over the book. And listen, that's realistic. People have their own feelings and their things. I'm not a judge. God is.
He was very upset. He wanted me to be a construction worker, like him.
Oh.
He wanted me to be a carpenter. And when I wanted to be a trapper and wanted to be a writer and all that, he didn't mind the trapping part so much because he did that. But he didn't really like the idea of writing. He couldn't see it. But then when my book started selling, and then when he realized there was a business behind all of this, and when he saw that, then he was very happy. And I think to a certain degree, he was very proud.
Yeah.
Of me. He never said it, and that just kind of the way he was. And he only told me he loved me 7 times in my entire life, and I remember each time. And never once do I remember him saying, "I'm proud of you," but his actions said it more than anything else.
I was just going to say, them old timers show it by actions. They don't use the words.
Yeah,
my
was
grandfathers were the same way.
He was born in 1945, and while the war was still going on, and he raised me very much with I would kind of like to call it the World War II mindset.
Yeah, post World War II mindset for sure.
Where you're free, you love your country, you love your family, you work hard, all that stuff. You lead a religious life, you try to anyway, and that's pretty much that. He was very special.
Wow.
It sounds like he was extremely special, and that's kind of why I asked the question. So don't think I was trying to pry or go anywhere I shouldn't have. By hearing what you're saying and what you're doing, I can hear how much you loved your grandfather just in a matter of our 25 minutes on here. I can see he meant everything to you. So I was curious what his feelings were. And what's funny is he wasn't upset you wrote about all your experiences with him. He wasn't upset about all those things. He's upset that he wanted you to be a construction worker and not a writer.
Yep, that's pretty much what it was. It was not about what I had written. It was about why I had written. It was very because it was very much he had this idea, and well, the idea. I mean, I'm a pretty good carpenter, but Most of my stuff leans to a certain degree. You know, so I wanted to expect a house out of me. You know, maybe my own house, but not to build one.
So I think it's awesome. Before we move, I'd like to tell you I think it's just awesome that your grandfather not only taught you this, but you had a bond and you experienced so many things that are memorable. And I think that's what matters in life. It's not about where you are in the end or what you did. It's about how you got there and who you got there with.
It is.
Absolutely.
I found that out more so after his passing um, than anything else, because I'm still dealing with basically the loss of my dad. That is the way to put it. Even though he was my grandfather, he raised me. We had that father-son, grandfather-son relationship that most people don't have with their grandfather. They have a grandparent-grandchild relationship, where I had a father-son relationship, which is entirely different. And his personality, believe it or not, sometimes we didn't get along because our personalities are so much alike that I would be able to think what he's thinking before he'd say it, and then vice versa. And it would aggravate the hell out of him. And then there's stuff that would aggravate me. And what bothered him about himself, he could see in me. And what bothered me about myself, I could see in him.
Sure.
And that you have that as a father-son type of relationship, because you're made a certain way. You know, you're raised a certain way, and you're that never changes.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I think that sustains you in life.
Certainly.
At least it's at least that's what I think anyway.
I say glory be to God, because he put somebody in your life that has changed your life to the better forever. And, you know, you'll live your memories through him. This wasn't something that, in my opinion, that you just learned and it'll go away. This is something you'll live through with your grandfather forever.
Yeah.
So thank him for that. I mean, honestly.
I agree. I can't see me living without it, and that actually worries me to a certain degree, because we're getting attacked more and more on a national and state level as trappers and hunters and fishermen. What happens if the antis actually win? You'll be putting a lot of people out of business. And then there'll be the hard old timers like myself that not sure if you'll be actually putting us out of business. And that's not something to really think about. That's not something you really want to think about.
I agree.
We should be doing everything in our power to advocate what is good about trapping, what is good about hunting, what is good about fishing. And then all three groups should be united under one front to go against the antis, because really, hunters and trappers, yeah, we got to use the same woods, same fields, same time of year. Same thing with fishermen. We all should be getting along to overcome the same common enemy, because our enemy is the same person, the same group of people. That's those liberal leftist nuts.
Amen.
That want to take basically our freedoms away from us. And that's something that I think everybody should be united together to work against, because it's our heritage. We got to preserve it. America wouldn't be half of what it is if it hadn't been for those early trappers and hunters who wanted to see beyond the next hill, who wanted to go out there to get the beaver pelts, the moose, the buffalo, the deer, whatever. It all connects.
We agree with you. We agree totally. Chris will tell you the same thing. We completely agree.
And I think at the end of the day, as an outdoor writer, I think that comes out in a lot of my writing. How not only my love for trapping, but to preserve it. And I think that's half of why I do the writing that I do, is to preserve it.
There's
Not
a
so much-
comment below for you, Andrew. I don't want to interrupt you, but I just don't want you to miss it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being on.
Here's a funny one for you.
I'm running a GoFundMe to buy a ticket for Biden to go see the Titanic. Oh, that is a funny one. There's been a lot of things about the Titanic in the last week.
Oh,
You think it was 1912 all over again.
that was funny. I'm sorry. I died when I seen that one.
But it's it's just one of those things. It needs to be preserved, and I don't think so much my story needs to be preserved. I think the history of the outdoors needs to be preserved.
Yeah, I agree with you totally.
And it's something that I think we all should be aware of. And I think the biggest thing I can say is I've been very fortunate and blessed to have been able to live a life like this. And believe it or not, this house, the one that you see me in, he built this house. I live here. This is my house now.
That's awesome.
And I'm home, and there's something very peaceful about being home, especially here. I think there's a part of me and him that's stuck here. As much as, even if I moved, I don't think I'd be happy. I belong here, and this is my home. For lack of a better word, I guess.
All right, that's amazing. It makes perfect sense. Absolutely amazing. So I it's hard to beat any of this. I think that your story with your grandfather is inspiring. I think that this is, I mean, we can move on to 30 books, and I think that would, I don't know. I think you already topped the whole thing off. Let's see. Good Knight's Rifle, welcome. Sorry, but I couldn't be here. Okay. Just a quick comment. But so let's move into your next book. Not that I want to get off subject. I think that you already took over. I think you accomplished everything we were after already. But I still want to keep promoting you. So let's talk a little bit about your next book. Chris, which your next book was?
Oh, the After the Man Who Taught Me?
Yep.
Okay, that would be a competitive raccoon trapping method.
Okay, so we'll have Chris pull that cover up so everybody can see it. That book was written in
2019.
2019. So it was right a year after the other one.
Yep, and it wasn't released until 2020, unfortunately. I wrote it while I was on the road with the man who taught me, with all the different book signings and different shows I had done. I wrote that in different places. And I wrote a lot of it right here, not in this house, but I wrote it at my cabin, which is not too far away from here. And
now, I haven't read your books, so I haven't read any of them. That's why we're doing this. I want to hear from you. I can read that book 1,000 times, but from the mouth of babes, as God would say, that's where the truth comes from. It comes from hearing it from you, your voice, your words, your thoughts, your feelings, and that's what makes this so great. So yes. when you wrote this book, again, I'm sure it's details on trapping coons, but what inspired you to write this one next? What was the, something got you to say, I need to write this book? What was it?
I think because not too many people, especially trapper writers and different like raccoon trapping method books, everyone talks about trapping raccoons in the water. My book really focuses on the upland. Now, I do cover some stuff in the water because I do trap a lot of raccoons in the water. But the majority of my raccoons are caught on land because we're actually not allowed to set a trap in the water until mink and muskrat season opens. And at the time of this writing, that was 5 weeks of trapping that would have been opened from between October 25th to November 25th. And so you have to learn to trap raccoons on land and focus entirely on land. And I think that was probably the big driver behind that. The other thing I think is because raccoons were my first animal that I ever caught. I caught 4 in one day, the very first day that I caught my raccoons, and I caught a 5th one the next day. And I didn't catch any more that season. That was my very first year. I think raccoons are just got a special spot for me. And
that makes sense. One of your first animals. I love the fact that you read it, because I got to tell you, so I love that you took what you seen what everybody else was doing and you said, "Oh no, I can help you. I can teach you to do it on land just as good."
yeah, that was pretty much why. I would say that would be a big reason why.
I love that. You took your first love, and then you went and took the first love of trapping, and you moved it to, hey, check this out. We can make this happen. And I can do it pretty good.
Yep. And that's and my mink book, which followed that, mink are one of my other favorites. And I think that was the big reason I wrote the mink book. But as far as, in my opinion, my mink book is very, very, very detailed on how to trap mink. I think mink were my grandfather's specialty, but because of us having such a big muskrat population, he was never able to really focus on them entirely. And I had pretty much a free education on it, and we it's something hit with the mink book that I'm not sure if I'll be able to top in my next book. I'm actually working on a beaver book right now, and besides that, I'm also working on a more I would say kind of like a story book, but I'm not really sure exactly what it is yet, so I can't really say what that is right now.
That's okay. We look forward to seeing it. I know that. I look forward to seeing what it is.
Well, I hope to be able to produce more. I really enjoy my writing and making these books. It's really not for the money or anything like that. Time you put in all your labor costs and everything, the money is not as hot as you would think it would be. And so but it's more of the personal satisfaction and the help that you're giving to others. That's where I find my satisfaction from this. And I do have my own line of lures that I make. These are all my lure formulas. These are all made by me, and they're supposed to. Well, they really do work. That part. I mean, I catch a lot of fur with these. These are the lures that I've always used. I sell traps, sell equipment.
So now I'm going to ask this: did your grandfather teach you like his own recipe to make these lures, or is this something you came up with yourself?
Some, like my sweet cherry lure. My grandfather really had something to do with that. My Mr. Moonlight raccoon lure, he had something to do with. Fox number 14 originally was Harry Judkins Fox number 12. I just gave it a new name. I bought the formula, and that works very, very well. You could leave a hole about the size of an inch in diameter. In 3-4 days, you can go back. The hole will be about 8 to 10 inches wide. Fox and coyotes just love it. They dig it, and they dig like crazy for it. I caught my first coyote off of it way back. That same picture of the book. It just works that way. I have a beaver lure along with a long distance call lure and a trailing scent, and every year I seem to come out with another lure or two. to try to diversify my my brand of lures.
So now I gotta ask you something really, really weird here. Now you're gonna laugh at this, but like if you write a book about a raccoon, do you come out with a new raccoon scent to go with it?
No, that's not actually how it worked. I was a writer. I was a trapper first, a writer second, and then I was always kind of a lure maker in between. My intentions were never to have my own brand of lures. Due to the advice of several trapping supply dealers and personal friends of mine that are in the trapping business, it's pretty much how I got into the lure making thing. Because that was a way to make something of my own. One thing in this industry that I have found, and this is just my opinion, I could be blowing smoke, but I don't think I am, is your personal name is what you're selling. And that has a lot to do with what your products are. And if you can sell them, you're basically selling your name.
I've been telling him that for how long now?
Yeah, he's been saying that a long time. Well, Big Sexy Outdoors, there's some people that just turn from it. They can't stand it. They think it's crazy.
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is I went through a horrible divorce. And when I went through my horrible divorce, I got the names tattooed on my arms. The two names that everybody in the world seemed to use to make me feel better. And it was You're Big. Oh, wrong one. You're Big and You're Sexy. And it just became a nickname after that. Really had no intent to be that at any point in life. It was just me kind of using it as a lift me up. And I always say to Chris, should we change a name? Because I think we'd have 40 times more viewers, 40 times more things. And you know, Chris himself said, absolutely not. We're not changing for who we are for anybody. We're gonna do who we are.
And that's kind of how to do it.
But I wanted to ask you, those bottles, they don't look like gallon jugs. How much do you use out of that lure per spot? Because I've never been trapping.
Well, per set, depending on the lure, like Fox number 14, I'll only use like a lima bean gob size of on a stick or a cotton swab or whatever.
Wow.
Now my raccoon lure, you can pour it on. You can pour half an ounce on. It wouldn't hurt it for raccoons, but then you're also wasting good lure at that point. You only really need about a cap full. And now for my long distance call lure, you really don't need a cap full because you're just pushing the animal away from you.
Really?
Too much skunk odor will actually repel fox and coyotes, where just a little bit of it will actually entice them. So the idea is with a long distance call lure is not always to put it at the actual set. Most of the time with a long distance call lure, when I'm using one, I usually go ahead and put it up on like a branch or something like that. Put in like a vegetable can hung up in the weeds or something. So that way the animals smell it from a long distance. They come in, your gland lure or your food lure actually catches them at the set. That's kind of how I make them work.
So it's more a curiosity lure, more just to kind of draw them in. And
call lure, I would say, is a little bit of curiosity along with a little bit of a food lure type. But I don't really would say it's a food lure. I think call lures are more of a curiosity type lure, or natural gland lure, I guess you could call it that. But even then, a gland lure usually elicits a response for a canine to either to defecate, shoulder rub, or urinate on a log, stump, culvert edge, whatever your scent post is, grass clump, whatever it is that they're urinating on. Where a call lure, that brings them in. I wouldn't necessarily, but really a call lure is a call lure. That's the only way I can put it.
okay. So your scents, your books, they can find everything on Amazon, or do you have somewhere else you recommend?
You can find them on my personal Facebook page, Andrew Zysek, and then you can order them directly through me. The only book I got on Amazon right now is The Man Who Taught Me, but you can also find my books through Sterling Fur Company, along with Cumberland's Northwest Trapper Supply, along with F&T Fur Harvesters Trading Post, and Matt Brophy from Epler Fur Company has some of my lures, and a few other people as well.
And if you don't know Matt Brophy, get a hold of us. We know Matt Brophy. We'll definitely hook you up with Matt for the people who are local to this area. So, Andrew, I'm tickled. We got you on, and I know you were nervous just by our talk a little bit. I'm never nervous. I don't know. I guess God blessed me with this thing where I am who I am, and I don't worry too much.
This guy can walk into he could never have been there. I could drop him off at the Mall of America. He'd walk in and know 500 people. Like they've been best friends for 50 years. It's so annoying. God bless him. It's so annoying. He has this knack with people. God is my witness. I don't know how he does it. Sorry.
He's right. He's right. I don't know what it is. I can talk to people and bond and mesh, and it's weird. But
they invite him to their wedding. It's great.
So I know that you were nervous to get on, and I wasn't, but I was super excited to get you on because I knew just by the title of your book. I didn't read through it. I read the headline, of course. You can go into Amazon. It gives you the headline. It gives you.
Yep.
But I wanted to hear from you. I knew there was a monster story behind this book, and I didn't have to do anything but read that to know. And the fact that you went into, it wasn't just about your grandfather teaching, it was more about your grandfather taking you in, and it was everything. And hearing how much your grandfather meant to you, I'll tell you, you touched me in this. I couldn't thank you enough for getting on here and talking to us, because it's everything I hoped it was, if that makes sense.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I don't do a lot of interviews like this very often. I do a few periodically, but like I said, I'm kind of the nervous type on TV, so it's kind of just the way it is, I guess.
Well, you don't ever have to worry about being nervous with us. We're as straightforward, funny, get through as you'll meet, and like I said, we're just us. That's what makes us who we are. Is we have no shame, no fear, no filters. We like to just enjoy life, and we enjoy the outdoors. We have a passion for it, and talking to you, we hear the same. And I agree with you. As a unit in the outdoors, we all have to come together.
Yeah, we do.
And that's kind of our goal here. Our goal here is we want to as many people involved as we can in sharing the same passion, whether it be trapping or fishing or hunting or even camping. I mean, if they shut parks down, you can't do half of that stuff either. So, it's just staying on the same page, and we try to introduce kids and take new kids hunting and trapping. I'm going to try to do some filming this year trapping. I just got a phone with a guy before we jumped on here, local, who told me I can go with and do some videoing. So I'm super excited for that.
Well, it'd definitely be good to see it. And really appreciate you guys having me on.
So I mean, we usually end in 45 minutes. We're over 45. I'm happy with that. It doesn't matter to me. Time's never been a thing, has it, Chris?
No.
Time's never been a thing. Do you have anything you want to share with the people? Anything you think that they should know? Anything you think your grandfather would like to pass on? Anything that you feel before we end our session?
No, I think we covered it all, guys. And once again, thank you for having me on.
Again, we appreciate you. And guys, go to Amazon or contact Andrew directly if you're interested in any scents, his books. And his books are very instructional. So if you didn't hear that, I'm going to help him again. They're very instructional on how to get what you want. If you want to hear about a lifestyle, then you want to order the first book. So get yourselves on there, check him out, hit Andrew up. You have any trapping questions, I'm sure by talking to Andrew, he's going to help you out. Right, Andrew?
Yes.
So he just wants to share the love he has for it, and he wants to help you in it. And Andrew, this will go on. I'll finish with this. This will go on. The link for YouTube and Facebook will be uploaded as soon as we're done, and you can share those with anybody you'd like.
Okay.
So that's always open to share out there.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
I super appreciate having you. I can't stress that enough. I just super appreciate your story.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. And
I hope God blesses you and continues to bless you through your journey. And I hope we don't lose contact and we keep touch through all this. And I'd love to see where your journey takes you.
well, hopefully I'll be able to come back on sometime.
Absolutely. We can make that happen.
And thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. God bless.
You too.
Let's see.